今回はピーター F ドラッカー経営者の条件をもとに成果を上げる人が何に集中しどのように行動を変えていくのかを英語で確認していきます。日本語で内容を確認したい場合は概要欄も合わせてご覧ください。
Effective people begin by asking what needs to be done, not what they personally want to do. If work starts from personal preference or personal interest, the action may look positive, but it may not lead to real results. What needs to be done is usually not just one thing. Some tasks seem important, some feel urgent, and some are requested by others. However, producing results does not mean trying to handle everything at once. It means choosing one priority and focusing on it. Setting priorities is not enough. A priority becomes useful only when it is protected under the pressure of daily work. This way of thinking also leads to action plans. An executive is not simply someone who has knowledge. An executive is someone who turns knowledge into results. Before taking action, people need to decide how they will contribute, what result they will achieve, and by when. A plan for results is not just a wish. It must become something that can be carried out in reality, while respecting ethics, laws, and the values of the organization. At the same time, an action plan is not a fixed promise. It is better understood as a hypothesis that should be tested and revised. By comparing expectations with reality, the plan can move closer to results. Even a good plan produces no results unless it becomes a decision and then an action. A decision becomes real only when the responsible person, the timing, and the concrete action are clear. People affected by the decision also need to understand it. For this reason, effective people show their plans to others and ask for the opinions they need. They also help others understand what information they need. Results do not come from one person's mind alone. Plans, decisions, action, and shared information must be connected before action can move toward organizational results. To produce results, it is not enough to look only at problems. Solving problems can prevent losses, but major results come from using opportunities. Change should not be seen only as a threat to avoid. Effective people look at change as a source of opportunity. Unexpected success and unexpected failure can also become clues for finding new opportunities. The ability to handle problems is necessary, but it does not create the future by itself. To increase results, people must find opportunities and direct attention and resources toward them. This is where the ability to be effective becomes important. Intelligence and knowledge do not lead to results by themselves. Impressive talent also does not guarantee results. Results come from systematic practice toward a goal. Knowledge and ideas have value only when they are used in the actions and decisions of other people. Knowledge workers are responsible not only for having useful knowledge, but also for making that knowledge usable by others. An executive is not defined by a title. An executive is anyone whose judgment affects the results of the organization. In that sense, many modern specialists are also executives. At the same time, people inside organizations often work in conditions that make results difficult. Their time is easily taken by meetings, messages, and daily tasks. Yet results exist outside the organization, not inside it. Results appear among customers, in society, in markets, and among users. But people inside organizations often have less access to outside reality. Information that computers can process is only part of that reality. If people look only at information that is easy to process, they cannot understand the outside world well enough. For that reason, the first resource to manage is time. Effective people record how their time is actually used before they make plans. Unlike money or people, time cannot be increased or recovered. Knowledge work requires large blocks of thinking time, not small pieces of interrupted time. When people understand how they use their time, they can find work that produces no results and remove it. They can also give up tasks that do not have to be done by them. Managing time does not mean filling the schedule. It means removing time that does not lead to results and protecting time for important work. After protecting time, the next question is not how much a person works, but what they contribute. When people focus on contribution, they look beyond the inside of their work and toward results outside the organization. Effort, workload, and expertise can hide the real question of results. An organization needs more than direct results. It also needs commitment to values and the development of people. Short-term results alone cannot sustain an organization. Contribution includes creating the conditions for future results. Specialized knowledge also produces no results unless it is connected to contribution. A specialist's knowledge becomes organizational results only when it connects with the work of other people. People who have knowledge are responsible for communicating it in a form that others can understand. It is not enough to say that they understand it themselves. If others cannot use the knowledge, it does not become a result. A person with a broad view connects their own specialty to the results of the whole organization. To produce results, people need to pay more attention to strengths than to weaknesses. Major results do not come from making every weakness average. They come from using strengths in the right work. To make use of people, we should begin with what they can do, not with what they cannot do. This applies not only to subordinates, but also to bosses and colleagues. It is usually more effective to make proposals in a way that uses a boss's strengths than to complain about weaknesses. People also understand information in different ways. Some understand written material better, while others understand spoken explanations better. Effective people choose a way of working that uses their own strengths. However, strengths do not produce much if they are spread too widely. Effective people choose the most important work and concentrate on one result at a time. Strengths produce results when they are focused on important opportunities. The hardest question is not what to do first. It is what not to do. If an important opportunity is delayed, it is often close to being lost. If people do not decide their own priorities, pressure from the situation will pull them toward the past or toward crises. Setting priorities requires not only analysis, but also the courage to abandon unnecessary work. Effective priorities choose the future over the past and opportunities over problems. Finally, effective decision-making is essential. The work of an executive is not to make many decisions, but to concentrate on important decisions. Effective decisions do not look only at individual events. They try to see root causes and principles. Before deciding, people must ask whether the problem is an exception or a repeated pattern. If a repeated problem is handled only as a temporary issue, it will appear again. In that case, it must be solved through principles or systems. A good decision makes clear what must be achieved and what conditions must be met. People should first ask what is right, not what will be easily accepted. Compromise may become necessary in reality. But if people begin with what is easy to accept, they may lose sight of the necessary conditions. A decision remains only an intention until the responsible person and the concrete action are decided. It also needs feedback to test whether its assumptions are correct in reality. A decision is not finished when it is made. It must be tested by reality. Effective decisions do not begin with pure facts. They begin with hypotheses that must be tested. What people see as a fact depends on what they consider important. When a new decision is needed, old standards of judgment may need to be questioned. For this reason, disagreement is not something that weakens judgment. Disagreement can help create a better decision. Different opinions reveal hidden assumptions and other standards of judgment. Effective people do not avoid disagreement. They use it to improve the quality of their decisions. In the end, the ability to be effective is not a special talent. It is a set of habits that can be developed through practice. Effective people ask what needs to be done, treat plans as hypotheses, turn decisions into action, and focus on opportunities. They record time, ask about contribution, make knowledge usable, use strengths, and concentrate on important work. In important decisions, they pay attention to root causes, necessary conditions, action, feedback, and disagreement. When these habits are connected, knowledge becomes action, and action becomes results outside the organization.